My family recently digitised hours of DV tape taken when my siblings and I were children. Amongst the noise, glitches, and artefacts, there are glimpses into the past.
Can you run towards Daddy as fast as you can?
Now it's my turn.
Yay!
I nearly flew one out.
What date is it? 15th of April, 2007.
The footage provides a striking insight into the past. Andrei Tarkovsky himself called filmmaking sculpting in time, and described that with the birth of cinema, for the first time in the history of the arts, in the history of culture, man found the means to take an impression of time. Impression, in perhaps the more literal sense, allowing for a spectator to view a space and the time inherently bound to it. Yet, film also gives access to the texture, emotions, and essence that is almost imprinted within the image itself.
Says to
Hi,
Jamie,
Finn,
happy
smile.
Christmas, Granny and Grandpa.
Susan Sontag described all photographs as memento mori, and to take a photograph is to participate in another person's mortality, as to freeze something testifies to time's relentless melt. The act of filming can be thought of doing something similar. The version of me with my home footage, who walks awkwardly and talks stubbornly,
No, touch your toes. Are you? Okay.
will remain 4 years old forever. Marcus Aurelius called time a violent river, and that in its stream, for as soon as a thing has been seen, it is carried away, and another comes in its place, and this will be carried away too. With the invention of film, one can preserve, access, and view events that would have otherwise been carried away. Film as a medium can visually and aurally isolate a moment in time and reproduce it with a thrilling, visceral immediacy. Film can transcend time's confines and momentarily suspend its relentless power. Film seemingly allows me to transcend the boundaries of time. Cinema has a long history of depicting and representing its own transcendent quality as a medium. Whether it's Nolan's Memento, Kurosawa's Rashomon, Nolan again, Malick, or Gondry. Filmmakers have a fascination with time. A film that poetically explores the violent stream of time, as well as film's transcendent ability to explore the past, is Charlotte Wells's 2022 film, Aftersun. Aftersun is an analeptic story in that the majority of the events within the film are chronologically in the past. Sophie, a new mother in her 30s,
Happy birthday, Sophie.
investigates her childhood and the nature of her late father, Callum, by looking through the hazy recordings of an old DV camcorder, footage of which is interspersed throughout the film. Imprinted within the magnetic tape of the camera's cassettes is footage of a holiday to Turkey that Sophie went on as a child, as well as perhaps the last time she saw her father.
What's that? Oh my god, what even is that?
These are my moves.
Sophie delves into these memories of her childhood, memories that are decidedly blurry,
My name is Sophie Leslie Patterson, reporting live from
out of focus, and awkwardly framed.
one-armed Callum Aaron Patterson.
Callum is to present-day adult Sophie a mere jumble of noise. And yet, within that blurry, pixelated footage taken years prior, Sophie can just about re-see him.
Well, so turn it off now, okay?
Okay, it's not recording. I'll just record it in my little main camera. Right. Ready?
Sophie likening her memory to a mind camera, I think, speaks to the film's messaging, as a synergy almost occurs between the film's imagery and Sophie's memories. Aftersun's visual language and cinematography embodies the awkward charm of the hazy video recorder footage and the ephemeral image Sophie has of her father. Charlotte Wells and D.P. Gregory Oak utilise a beautiful blend of evocative imagery, atypical framing, and the use of reflections. Distortions and shadow, all to the effect of positioning a spectator within the mind of adult Sophie, a mind that is clinging lovingly onto the latent memories of her young father, but can't quite discern him fully. Charlotte Wells in an interview described shooting Callum, played by Paul Mescal, at arm's length more than anything else in the film, as it was important that ultimately Callum does remain unknowable. Take this scene, for instance, where Callum is practicing Tai Chi and is framed through a reflection on the far wall, and we see glimpses of his arms in the foreground. We can only gain an impression of him, a rough understanding. We often only see the back of Callum, unable to discern him fully. And often when we do see him front on, he is framed in a wide shot, distant and unknowable, unobtainable, or blended in with the colours of the scene around him. Or in an extreme close-up with a shallow depth of field, Sophie and us are given pieces of him, snippets. The impression of time that film can capture and hold is akin to a memory. If the film was shot on a handheld Super 8 camera, it might be grainy, badly exposed and out of focus. If it's on a DV camera, it might have digital artifacts and noise, distorting and abstracting the image. In the same way, a childhood memory becomes increasingly hazy and harder to remember. Film footage can retain and develop artifacts that reduce the clarity of the image. So as much as film can transcend the confines of time, it is ultimately imperfect. Andre Bazin notes the camera's ability to embalm time. In the same way Tarkovsky said film can take an impression of time, the ability to embalm a moment and suspend its temporality is a powerful notion that speaks to film's ability to preserve. Yet, despite being preserved, those impressions remain dead. However well a body is preserved and embalmed, it will never look alive again. It is swept away by the violent stream. As Sophie attempts to understand her father by exploring her past, she gains glimpses and flashes of him. Intercut throughout Aftersun are scenes with adult Sophie and Callum occupying a crowded, pitch-black rave, with interspersed flashes of bright light. Within these expressionistic sequences, Sophie and Callum, now the same age, exist in a strange liminal space that reflects Sophie's understanding of her father. As much as she ventures into her past, she can only ever gain a glimpse of her dad. By the film's end, Sophie gains a rough understanding of her father. She figures out he was a man that was deeply sad. Anything more than that is carried away by time. She does not learn why or how, and her father remains largely unknowable, at arm's reach. When I look at my own home footage, I often romanticise that period in time. The sunny holidays, the cheerful gaze of seemingly everyone that looks into the camera. Tarkovsky said that film allows an impression of time to be taken, and perhaps it's just that, an impression, a mere imprint. Whilst film can transcend the boundaries of time, it perhaps only does so in a limited capacity. Sure, I can just about re-see my childhood, but I cannot retouch, retaste, re-smell, or re-feel it. I cannot ask my parents how they were truly feeling then, nor ask my younger self the same. Film can cling on to a piece of the past and colour it with a certain poetry, whilst the true nature of the past and all its emotions and complexities are instead carried away by time. Sophie learns that amongst her nostalgic, precious memories is a certain sadness.
We're here to have a good time, eh?
Throughout the course of the film, she learns to accept that, and eventually decides to leave her painful memories in the past, cling on to her father one final time before pushing him away, and instead looking towards the future. The final sound heard within the film is the noise of Sophie's newborn. Film affords us incomplete impressions of the past, often coloured and indiscriminately tinted with hues of rose. As much as we can find ourselves desiring the seeming eternal bliss, solace and comfort it can provide, what Aftersun encourages us to do is to accept the past as unknowable and unobtainable, but to recognise that acceptance does not retract from the impressions the past has on us, how it shapes us into who we are as we look forward and into the future.